I once got into an argument with a friend who told me that having a once a month pay schedule was the absolute hardest thing in the world to live with. And frankly, I thought she was nuts because mathematically it should be really easy. After all you have to do is look at what's in your bank account because you're only paid once a month to then figure out what your budget needs to be for the entire month. You don't have to sit here and try to make some guesses and some hopes and some dreams based on what you think that you're going to get paid next pay period. No, you just look at what's in your bank account and that's what you budget. That should be easy, right? Well, after talking to a few more people, I realized that once again, I'm the weirdo. For pretty much everyone else, getting paid once a month is an absolute nightmare. Not because of the math, because the math doesn't change whether you're paid that amount once a month, once a week, or twice a month. No, the problem is the fact that you have to figure out how to make that money stretch. If you've seen any meme on social media, you'll see where it's like the first week it's lobster and caviar, and then the second week you're eating ice soup. Yeah, okay. I can understand how that's a problem, especially considering those memes are based off of the bi-weekly pay period. So if you struggle with that getting paid twice a month, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how devastating it is to try to do that when you're paid only once. That's why today I've decided to take a little bit of mercy on the people, and I'm going to show you 5 hacks that will help you not only survive, but thrive with a once a month pay schedule. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiana Clewis, an author, speaker, executive pastor, and coach who's made it her mission to help Christian women who are trapped in the 9-to-5 rut in corporate America overcome the worries that are stopping them from stepping full-time into their God-given calling. And since you know who I am, I thought I would take a moment to share a really exciting announcement that I have. You see, for the first time in what's been a few years, I am having on October 1st a live event specifically for Christian women entrepreneurs. Look, I am insanely excited about this because this is one event that is designed specifically for addressing that tension that we all have as Christian women when we're trying to build a successful business, but then we feel a little bit of guilt, a little bit of worry, a little bit of shame, like it's not okay because there's a stigma out there that if you are a successful entrepreneur, you're a bad person, you're taking advantage of people. Well, the reality is that if you are building a business that God has called you to, that means that business is part of your ministry. And we have to get to the place where we actually truly own that. That's why I'm hosting on October 1st, the Ambitious Dreamers The Pouring Conference, the first annual event where us Christian women entrepreneurs can get poured into and can learn how to really lean into the ministry that's hidden within our businesses. So, hey, I don't want to take up too much time because I know that you guys came to learn these 5 hacks to survive and thrive on a once a month pay period, but I need you to make sure that if you are a Christian, a woman, and an entrepreneur who's interested in coming out to the Dallas, Texas area, make sure that you head to the website at www.thepouring.live. It's down below. Make sure you head to that website and get more information about our amazing lineup of speakers who have already walked this journey and are thriving on the other side, about lunch, and even about the childcare options. So yeah, go to the website, reserve your spot today, and now let's hop into the video. Lord, it's fiery in here. It's fiery. So hack number 1 is to manually pay all of your bills and to do your grocery shopping on the 1st of the month. Now look, I know that some of you are probably freaking out because you're like, Tiana, do you know how much money you just told me to spend on one day? I get it. Okay, but there's a method to my madness, so just hear me out for a bit. So the thing is that once your bills are paid off, and I'm including things like your debts, and I'm including like any savings that you want to, transfer, and once your grocery shopping is done for the month, basically everything else left in your bank account is for you and what you want to do. So then all you have to do in order to make it through the rest of the month is you can create a kind of allowance for yourself. It can be daily or it can be weekly. And all you have to do is just do a little bit of math to figure out, based on what's left in your bank account after all of the bills are paid and after all the grocery shopping's done, how much can I afford to spend each day, or how much can I afford to spend each week that allows me to stay living within my means and still enjoy life. And the cool thing is that with that allowance, if you don't spend, say you do a daily allowance and you don't spend all of it that day, well, you can transfer the rest of it to the next day. Or if you overspend today, then that means that you can just chip a little bit off of the next maybe 2 or 3 days, and boom, fantastic, you're good, you're balanced. So this plan can work really well for a person who is able and comfortable with living on this kind of allowance methodology. Now, the reason that I specifically said manually, which is a word that I find hard to say anyway, the reason why I specifically said manually is because a lot of times you don't have control over when a bill is due. So typically the company is going to give you the date in which the bill has to be paid. And in some cases you can call them up and get them to change the due date to something that's earlier, but not everyone's going to cooperate. But if you take the things off of autopay and you manually push the button to pay the bill, it's no big deal. At that point, you can just, pay the bill manually on the first, and hey, at least you know it is guaranteed to be paid on time. And for my Texans and my Californians, if you are worried about being able to pay for gas, I've got you covered too. So when you do that shopping trip on the first, the other thing that you need to do is you need to buy yourself a gas card or buy yourself a gift card that you only use for gas. So that way your gas money is already pulled out of the budget, well, pulled out of the bank account, I should say. And then you don't have to worry about that accidentally being included in your daily allowance or weekly allowance calculation. See, told you, got you covered. Now for hack number 2, which is to use the cash envelope method. Now I've done an entire video about, breaking down the cash envelope system, so I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail here. But basically the idea is that once you've created your budget, you have an envelope and you take what you budgeted and put in the envelope in cash. That's it. So if you budgeted $500 for cash for groceries this month, then you put $500 in cash in the envelope labeled groceries. It's really that simple. Now, some people may be looking at me and saying like, Tiana, I still actually have to make the money stretch. It doesn't matter if it's cash or a bank account. I still got to stretch it. But there's a key thing here that a lot of people don't consider. You see, when most people talk about the cash envelope system, and even I do it in my explanation video about the system, typically you will see that they will take one envelope for one budget category, and that's how that flows. But the reality is that it's your cash envelope system, and you can use as many envelopes for any one budget item as you want to. So let's say that, go back to that example of the $500 in groceries. Well, let's say that you want to go shopping once a week based on your meal plan, and you're going to give yourself $125 per week, i.e. the 500 divided by 4. You're going to give yourself $125 per week to shop with. Well, then get 4 envelopes, put $125 in each envelope, and boom, you're good. Then when you go grocery shopping, you just take 1 envelope, and that naturally just stretches your money so that you're not running into that kind of feast or famine situation. Nope. You're spending what you allocated for that week, and it's not as uncomfortable and difficult as it would have been if you had the whole envelope of $500. So if you're the type of person who likes the cash envelope system but struggle with making it stretch, well, use this little twist on the plan. Make as many envelopes for that one budget category as you want to. You can base it weekly, or if you want to go that granular, you can even do it daily. Honestly, it's whatever works for you. Remember, it's your system, not mine. Now it's time for hack number 3, which is to create a bills calendar. Now, this idea is kind of funky. I'm going to be honest, I have no clue where I even got it from, but I kind of feel like it's a really good idea to the point that I just assumed that somebody already had something out there. But when I Googled the concept of creating a bills calendar, the way that it's working in my mind is not something I was able to find online, which means I had to make my own, which now means we have to go to the computer. So voila, welcome to my bills calendar. It's nothing fancy and the math is manual, but it will certainly get my point across. So this is what I would do if my bills are scattered throughout the month. First, I would take all of my bills and I will put them on a calendar based on their due dates with the amount that I'm expecting the bill to be. So as you can see, I have rent, electricity, cell phone, car note, water, car insurance, and student loans. Now, you, of course, are probably going to have more, but it's enough for this example. Next, we want to calculate the minimum amount of money that we need to have in the bank account to pay this bill off and the bills that follow. That amount's going to serve as our guide to let us know if we're getting close to the line or if we are flat out overspending as we move throughout the month. So to figure that out, we actually need to start at the end of the month and work our way forward. So in this example, the last bill of the month is a student loan for $275 on the 30th. And since it's the last bill for the month, all we need is the $275 in the account, so I'm going to type that here. The next bill is the car insurance for $110 on the 22nd. Well, to pay off the insurance and the student loan, we need the amount for both bills, which is $110 plus the $175. That's a total of $385 that we need to pay. Next, water is due on the 20th. So we're going to take that $385 from the car insurance day and add that here for a total of $460. And that's what we need to have in the bank on the 20th. The car note is due on the 17th and it's $350. So $460 plus $350 is $810. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and add here. On the 14th, we have the cell phone bill, which is $150. On that day, we need to have at least $960 in the bank so that we can pay this bill plus everything that follows behind it. Now we're to the electricity bill, which is $130 that's due on the 12th. Adding $960 to the $130 gives you a total of $1,090. And finally, we have rent of $1,500 that's due on the 1st. The rent plus the $1,090 is $2,590. Yeah, that's right. So we need $2,590 in the bank on the 1st so that we can still afford to pay all of our upcoming bills in the month of August. And that also means that anything above and beyond that $2,590 that we receive on the 1st, or should I say that we have in our bank account on the 1st, is what we can use for everything else. Our fun money, for grocery shopping, for gas, and things like that. But we automatically know that as long as we have $2,590 in the bank on the 1st, we at least know that we can pay all of our bills for the month. Do you see how easy that was to put together? To be honest, I spent more time actually trying to make the thing a little bit pretty than I actually spent creating the file. Because as you can see, it's really super simple. But as someone who spent, 14, 15, 16 years in her career working in Excel files and using it for reporting, I'm sorry, but your girl has to make it pretty. But that's besides the point. The point that I'm actually trying to make with this calendar is that when you use something like this, it makes it a lot easier to keep track of where your spending is going and whether or not you're on pace to be able to pay all of your bills. Because if I look and I'm on the 12th and I see that on the 15th, I have to have a certain amount of money in the bank account, well, I can make smart decisions based on that information. If I've got plenty of money left, cool, I can keep going the way that I've been going. If I'm starting to toe the line a little bit, it's time for me to change my behavior. And if I'm under, it's time for me to go make a little extra money to make sure that I have enough money to pay all of my bills that are at the very end of the month. So I like this calendar idea because it's all about being able to easily see, just glance at your bank account and glance at your calendar to quickly see if you're on pace to be able to pay everything that you need to be able to pay. And I know that at this point we've gone through 3 different hacks out of 5, but I'm still gonna call this the halfway mark. So if you are still here, I'm going to take it to mean that you like me, so you should like the video by clicking the thumbs up. And since you like me, go ahead and subscribe so you can get more of me and more of what it is that I have to share. So yeah, hit the big red button below to follow the channel. Hack number 4 is to put everything onto a credit card. Now, if you saw my video about the things that I've bought with credit card points, you know that that is how I live my life. So naturally, this is my favorite hack. Basically, every single bill that we have, except like the mortgage and back when we had them, car notes and the student loans, well, everything else was paid on our credit cards. Really super simple. We avoided interest and we didn't have to panic and worry about whether or not the money was going to be there because since everything was on the credit card, it meant that we weren't spending out of the bank account. And as long as we were living within our means, i.e. living based on our budget, we didn't have to worry about whether or not there was going to be enough money there. Again, we weren't spending it, everything's on the credit card, and we're living within our budget. So as long as you are doing a really good job of just monitoring your spending categories based on the budget that you set for yourself and your family, it's really easy to use this methodology. What gets people in trouble is that they're just swiping freely and they're not thinking about their budget at all. So when you're grocery shopping, you need to be thinking and looking at your budget for groceries when you swipe that credit card. If you're out buying clothes for your kids, whatever you allocated for clothes for your kids for that month, that's the limit on what you need to be spending on the credit card. As long as you stay within your means and stay within your budget, you never have to worry about going over or having to pay interest because, like I said, that money is just sitting there waiting on you to use it to pay off the credit cards. Now, if you're someone who happens to be pretty obsessed with their credit report and their credit score, well, there is a way that you can do this and still keep your credit score high. Because if you're concerned that using this methodology is going to max out your credit cards, which it has the potential to do depending on what your available limit is, then yes, you can have a negative impact on your credit score, but there's a way around that. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you pay your credit cards off before the credit card company reports to their credit reporting agency. That way, when they do report, they're going to be reporting on like a zero balance, or if you want to just leave a little something there just so that they can see the activity, they'll be reporting on, say, 1% utilization instead of reporting on 98% utilization. So if that's something that you're concerned about, we just want to make sure that we pay before the credit card company reports to the credit bureau. Goodness, I can't get the word out. So if you don't know how to find that information, it's actually pretty simple. One way that you can figure it out is by looking at the credit report itself. Oftentimes it will tell you what day it was up that particular account was updated. So I might look at my credit report and it will say, Capital One last updated on June 16th, 2022. Okay, good to know. Because that means that more than likely when we hit July, well, we're in July, but more than likely in July, they're going to update either on July 15th, July 16th, somewhere around that time period. Well, if I make the payment on July 10th, I should be pretty good to go, and I don't typically have to worry about whether or not my card's going to be maxed out at the time that they report to the credit reporting agency. So that's a system that is really good. Another way, if for some reason your credit report does not show a last updated date, you also can set up alerts for any time there's a change to your credit report or to your credit score. Then what you would do is, once you see, okay, I got an alert that says that there was a change to my credit score, then I would look and see, okay, what was modified? Well, when I see that my credit card company was the thing that was modified, again, if that happened on like June 17th, all right, cool. I'm gonna pay on like June 10th because even if it took a couple of days for that alert to come through, doing it a week early should give me enough time that I can get that whole thing paid off or get it down to like that 1% utilization so that then it looks very nice on my credit score when it gets reported. So you can use this methodology without taking your credit score. You just have to be a little bit strategic with the timing of your payments. Now it's time to hit hack number 5, which is to have separate accounts for family, bills, and for self. Now, I know this probably sounds like it's getting a little bit complicated, but it's not. It's really simple, and I've seen a number of people use this methodology very effectively with their families. So just let's walk through it, okay? So to set this up, of course, first you have to go to the bank and you have to make sure that you have enough checking accounts to be able to do this. You need at least one checking account that you're going to label as family. That's where all your deposits are going to go into. You need one bank account that's going to be labeled as bills. And then either you need one bank account for yourself or you need 2 bank accounts because you're married, one for you, one for your spouse, which is basically for your fun money. So then the next thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that all of your direct deposits are linked into the family account. Essentially, all income is going to flow into that family account. And then all of your bills, that includes your debts, all of those bills need to be linked to that bills checking account. Once you have that set up, here's what you're going to do each month. At the beginning of the month, the income is going to flow into the family account, right? Then you are going to make a couple of very strategic transfers. One transfer is going to be to your self accounts. Based on whatever you've put into your budget for your fund money, that's what's going to get transferred into your self account. And then whatever you have in your budget to pay for your bills, to pay for your debts, that's going to get transferred into the bills account. So now you've got one account that has money in it to spend on kind of family things like grocery shopping, on gas, on clothing. You now have the bills account where your auto pay is going to auto draft any of your bill payments out of that bills account, and then you can go and have whatever fun that you want to with your fun money account, i.e. the self account. It's a really simple system, and all it requires you to do is, once you have those accounts set up, just make sure that you do your budget in advance, and then once all the money comes in, you do those quick transfers into the other account from the family account. It's a really simple system, and again, I've seen it work very well for plenty of people. I really love this method because it puts you in a position to where you can take care of the family's needs without interfering with the bills or with your fund money. You can have your self-care without worrying about or feeling guilty because you're taking money away from the bills or from, the family's needs. And you can make sure that all of the bills are paid without again neglecting your self-care or without neglecting, grocery shopping and things for the kids. So because you've taken the time to separate that money out, you can do what needs to be done when, without any kind of worry, shame, guilt, or just freaking out because you don't know when the auto pay is going to hit. Doesn't matter. The money's already sitting there waiting. I especially like this method for people who are adverse to using credit cards and people who, like myself, don't personally like using the cash envelope method. The cash envelope method is great for people who like it. I am not one of those people, but hey, it's still a great method for people who like spending physical cash. So that's the reason why it's part of our hacks. But if you don't like the cash envelope method and you don't like using credit cards, I think this is an absolute fabulous hack for those people. And there you have it, 5 financial hacks that are going to help you survive and even thrive when you are living on a once-a-month pay schedule. Now, you know me, I gotta ask, is there any other hacks that you know about, any tips or tricks that you've been using so that you can successfully live with a once-a-month pay schedule? I absolutely want to hear them. Make sure that you share them down in the comments. And then once you've dropped your comment down in there, make sure that you head over to the website for the Ambitious Dreamers The Pouring Conference that's happening October 1st here in the Dallas, Texas area. Believe me when I say you do not want to miss out on this opportunity to network with other Christian women entrepreneurs, to be able to get poured into from a spiritual standpoint, and to help you recognize how you can take care of yourself, function in ministry, and function as a business at the same time. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So head to the website at www.thepouring.life to get more information and to grab your ticket. Oh, and I gotta say it one more time. Don't forget, if you like this video, go ahead and let me know by hitting that thumbs up button below if you haven't already. And feel free to follow my channel for more tips, tricks, and biblical strategies by clicking the big red button below. Now with that, I am gonna go and get back to work, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.